Hi guys, in this session I'll be taking the last part of the chapter what we are on, that is analysis of financial statements, and the last part is ratio analysis. A very simple part. It is formula based. A very simple part. It is formula based. Now before we start, what exactly do you mean by ratio analysis? What exactly do you mean by ratios? Ratios or ratio analysis. Ratios are a yardstick. Ratios are a yardstick where you judge the financial position of the company or the profitability position. I'll repeat. Ratios are financial yardsticks, or you can say yardsticks, where we judge the financial and the profitability performance of the company. That means from the ratios what we calculate, there are more than 35 ratios, but in your syllabus only 6 are prescribed. There are 7, but the last 2 are in one only. So you can say there are 6 ratios which have been prescribed in your syllabus. And when we calculate the ratios, whatever answer we get, depending upon the ratios, we judge whether the company ka paying capacity long term, short term is good or no, whether the profitability of the company is good or no, and there are many other analysis and interpretation, but we will be restricting to the extent of your SYJC ka syllabus. So ratios are yardsticks where we judge the profitability or sorry, the financial position of the business. Now, as I told you, there are 7 ratios. The last 2 are a bit different, but in your syllabus, they have kept the sum same. So we will deal in 6 ratios, where I'll show you when we come to the 6th one, what is the alternate name. Now guys, when I say ratios now, ratios you divide it in 3 parts. It will be in 3 parts. Now what are those 3 parts? First ratio, we call it as balance sheet ratio. Okay. Second, we call it as income statement ratios. And the third, we call it as combined or mix or composite ratio. Okay. Ratios ka 3 major classification: balance sheet, income statement, and combined. Now let's first discuss what exactly is this classification, and then we get into the ratios. Balance sheet ratios are those ratios which you calculate only from the balance sheet. That means whatever are the balance sheet ratios, there are total 6 balance sheet ratios in practical life, of which in your syllabus there are only 2. Okay. So balance sheet ratios are those ratios which you calculate from the balance sheet. You don't need income statement to calculate the balance sheet ratios. तुम्हारे पास कंपनी का बैलेंस शीट है या पार्टनरशिप फॉर्म या सोल ट्रेडर का बैलेंस शीट है, from that balance sheet we can get the ratios, that is balance sheet ratios. So balance sheet ratios are those ratios which we calculate only from the balance sheet. Income statement ratios. Now income statement ratios are those ratios where you need income statement, that is trading and P&L. From the trading and P&L we can calculate the ratios. Those ratios are called as income statement. So balance sheet ratios के लिए खाली balance sheet चाहिए, income statement ratios के लिए you just need trading P&L. यहाँ पे मुझे trading P&L नहीं चाहिए, यहाँ पे मुझे balance sheet नहीं चाहिए. Okay, now income statement ratios are also classified in 6, but the 6th one is further classified into 4. So there are total 9, but that is in degree college. In your syllabus, you have only 3. So 2 balance sheet ratios, 3 income statement ratios from your SYJC ka syllabus point of view. Okay, then next is combined. Combined is also called as mix ratios or composite ratios. Now I'm sure many of you all must have guessed इसमें क्या होगा. Very simple. ये क्या था? Balance sheet ratios. I need only balance sheet. ये क्या था? Income statement ratios. I just need trading P&L. ये क्या है? Combined ratio और mix ratio. That means इसमें I need income statement as well as balance sheet. इसमें I need income statement as well as balance sheet. So that is the reason it is called as combined. That means it is calculated with combination of balance sheet and income statement. यहाँ पे I just need balance sheet, यहाँ पे I just need income statement or trading P&L, but यहाँ पे I need data of both to get the combined ratio. Now there are many combined ratios, 10 plus है, but in your syllabus again you have only 2 and those 2 are similar. Questions are same only, so we will term it as 1 only. So in short, 2 balance sheet ratios, 3 income statement ratios, 2 combined ratios, but दोनों same calculation है as far as your syllabus is concerned, so we will restrict to that. Okay, so total 6 ratios. Now what I have done, I have made 6 small questions. Okay, 6 small questions where in this session we will study all the 6 ratios. We will see what is the meaning of that ratio, how it is calculated, practical life में उसका purpose क्या है, and we will solve some on each. So what I'll do, I will take each ratio one by one. पहला ratio, we will see what the ratio is, meaning क्या है, purpose क्या है, calculate. Second, meaning, purpose, calculate. Okay, chalo. So let's start with the ratios. Okay, so I take the first ratio which will be a part of your balance sheet ratios, and the first ratio is called as current ratio. The first ratio is called as current ratio. I just hope this is okay. The first ratio is current ratio. Let me just sit down. Yeah, current ratio. Now, what exactly is current ratio? Current ratio is the ratio which judges the short-term financial position of the company. Current ratio is the ratio which judges the short-term financial position of the company. That means after calculation, you can say on the basis of the ratio what answer we get, whether the company is good in paying a short-term liabilities or no. Now, when I say short-term liabilities, you all know that we have discussed earlier also in vertical income statement and balance sheet. Anything which is payable within a period of 1 year, anything which is payable within a period of 1 year is short-term, and anything which is payable after 1 year is long-term. Now, current ratio shows what is the short-term financial position of the company. There is a standard, the normal standard is 2:1. That means if your ratio is 2:1 or more, that means you are in a good position to pay off your current liabilities. Now I'll get into that again, but before that, first let's see how do we calculate. Now you all have done multiple sums of balance sheet. Balance sheet vertical. Last part क्या होता है? Application of funds. Application of funds का third part क्या होता है? Working capital. What is, how do we get working capital? Current assets minus current liabilities. Correct? Working capital is current assets minus current liability. Therefore, My current ratio जरा इंक में इशू है my sorry guys 1 minute I'll have to just change the ink my current ratio is nothing but the proportion of current assets to current liabilities. Current ratio is the ratio which shows the proportion of current assets to current liabilities. That means current ratio is current assets upon current liability. जो भी तुम्हारा current assets है divided by the current liabilities, that gives you your current ratio. And as I told you, current ratio का use ये है कि it judges the short term financial position of the company. That means within a period of 1 year, short term is within a period of 1 year, whether the company ka financial position is good or no. To judge long term, there's another ratio called as proprietary ratio, जो तुम्हारे syllabus में नहीं है. So current ratio is the ratio which helps you in judging the financial position of the company. The normal trend is अगर तुम्हारा current ratio 2:1 sorry current ratio अगर तुम्हारा 2:1 के ऊपर है, that means your financial position short term is good. अगर 2:1 के नीचे है, that means you have to be cautious. Okay, so I'll repeat, current ratio is nothing but current assets upon current liability. It shows the proportion of current assets to current liability. The normal trend, you don't have to comment, I'm just telling you for your theory point of view. You have to just calculate, तुम्हारे syllabus में commenting part नहीं है. But normally if the ratio is 2:1 या उसके ऊपर, that means the short term financial position is good, and 2:1 के नीचे रहेगा, that means it is not good. That means 2:1 के ऊपर है तो company can easily pay off its short term liabilities. So current ratio is the ratio which shows you how good or how bad is the short term financial position of the company. मैं थोड़ा ज़्यादा डीप में गया हूं from theory point of view. Okay, now before I take the second ratio, as I told you, let's take all the ratios one by one. Okay, now see the first question you have there. Company has the following current assets and current liabilities: stock 1 lakh, debtors 80, cash and bank 120, creditors 70,000, bills payable 30. They have given you 5 items. Now you all know very well. Tell me, current assets क्या क्या है? Can I say stock is a current asset? Debtor is a current asset? Cash and bank is a current asset. Creditors, bills payable, both are current liability. Those who are confused, please go back to the video of vertical balance sheet. There I have explained you in detail. Current ratio में I don't want fixed assets, I don't want long term investment, I don't want share capital, I don't want reserves, I don't want borrowed funds. I just want current assets and current liability. Okay, now see, we will show the segregation along with the total. So numerator is current assets. क्या क्या है मेरा current asset? Stock 1 lakh. So stock 1 lakh plus debtors 80,000 plus cash bank 120. Okay, my current asset is 1 lakh towards stock, 80,000 towards debtors and cash bank 120 upon current liability, that is creditors and bills payable. So creditors 70,000 and bills payable 30,000. Creditors 70,000, bills payable 30. Clear guys, I am going very slow, don't worry. So 180 plus 120, 3 lakh upon 1 lakh. That means current assets are 3 lakhs, current liability is 1 lakh. Current assets are 3 lakhs, current liability is 1 lakh. Now see, if I divide, can I say 5 zeros निकल गया? तो ये क्या होगा? 3. Okay, this will be 3. Numerator होगा 3, denominator होगा 1. So we call it like that, 3:1. That means interpretation, how you conclude, my current assets are 3 times of your current liability. That means अगर मुझे 1 रुपया पे करना है in the form of current liability, उसको पे करने के लिए I have 3 times the current assets. And what I told you starting में, the normal trend set for a good current ratio is 2:1. This is 3:1. So in terms of practical life, the ratio is good. So therefore, my current ratio is 3:1. Therefore, my current ratio is 3:1. Got it? So as I told you, current ratio is the ratio which judges the short-term financial position of the company, and anything about 2:1 is good. Of course, as I told you, you don't have to give any comments, you have to just calculate. So this is the way we calculate current ratio. Current ratio is current assets upon current liability. Take the total of all the current assets, divide by the total of all the current liabilities. That is your, and you'll always write balance sheet ratios like that, 3:1, 2:1, whatever is the denominator and numerator. Numerator is 3 lakh, denominator 1, part 0 cancel, so 3 upon 1, we call it as 3:1. Again, I am repeating, 3:1 means my current assets are 3 times of my current liabilities. Got it? So this was the first ratio. Now we take the second ratio, which we call it as quick ratio. Quick ratio is also called as liquid or acid test ratio. Okay, quick ratio is also called as acid test ratio or liquid ratio. Got it, guys? Now listen. What do you mean by quick ratio? Current ratio used for judging the short-term financial position. Quick ratio immediate. Short-term immediate. Now दोनों में difference क्या है? Short-term is generally that which is less than 1 year. Immediate generally means instant, maximum period 3 months. So anything less than 3 months is generally referred as quick. So current means less than 1 year, more than 3 months, and less than 3 months will be quick. If there is no quick, we take current ratio 1 year के नीचे का. But if it is quick, 1 year के नीचे but more than 3 months, and this is less than 3 months. Got it? Now, understand. Quick ratio, the formula is quick ratio is equal to, we call it as quick assets upon quick liabilities. Quick ratio is equal to quick assets upon quick liabilities. Now, when I say quick matlab you have the liquidity to make the payment immediately. Quick means you have the liquidity to pay the amount immediately. Now, to make your job easier, I will further classify this formula. So what I'll do, नीचे और एक formula लिखता हूं. Quick ratio is equal to, now see quick assets का formula क्या है? Quick asset is current assets minus stock minus expenses paid in advance. Quick asset is current assets minus stock minus expenses paid in advance, and quick liability means current liabilities minus bank overdraft minus income received in advance. I'll repeat. Quick asset means current assets minus stock minus expenses paid in advance upon quick liability means current liability minus bank overdraft minus income received in advance. Now see why we use it as quick. Stock, understand why we deduct. आज मेरे पास गुड्स है, मैं गुड्स कैश में बेचूंगा तो आई कैन से इट इज क्विक, बट नॉर्मली वी सेल गुड्स ऑन क्रेडिट. 2 महीना 3 महीने के क्रेडिट पे बेचा, उसके बाद कस्टमर पैसा देगा, देन वी गेट द मनी. सो दैट इज द रीजन स्टॉक इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड एज क्विक. व्हाई? पहले तो उसको बेचना पड़ेगा, बेचने के बाद पैसा कभी आएगा आई डोंट नो, therefore it is not a quick asset. So quick में क्या करना है, करंट एसेट में से नॉन क्विक माइनस करो, दैट गिव्स यू क्विक. सो स्टॉक आई रिड्यूस बिकॉज पहली बात तो उसको पहले बेचना पड़ेगा, बेचेगा तभी पैसा आएगा, एंड क्रेडिट पे बेचोगे जब भी कस्टमर पैसा देगा तभी एक्चुअल पैसा आएगा. सो रिमूव. एक्सपेंसेस पेड इन एडवांस, मैंने ऑलरेडी पैसा एडवांस में पे कर दिया है, आई हैव टू टेक द बेनिफिट. नाउ जैसे कि यू रिचार्ज प्रीपेड, पेमेंट कर दिया, से फॉर एग्जांपल यू हैव जियो का कार्ड, जियो वाले को पूरे साल का पैसा दे दिया, नाउ पूरे मंथ पूरे साल का सर्विस मिलेगा ना, तो मनी इज ऑलरेडी पेड, नाउ यू जस्ट हैव टू टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ द सर्विस, सो देयरफॉर इट इज आल्सो नॉन क्विक. सो इन शॉर्ट क्विक एसेट मींस करंट एसेट्स minus stock minus expenses paid in advance. As per your SYJC level, इतना याद रखो, enough. Upon current liabilities minus bank OD. तुम लोग को पता है बैंक OD क्या है? Only businessmen can have current account, and current account में ही you get OD का benefit. That means what? The amount keeps on changing every year. What is bank OD? Short-term loan given by the bank which changes on a daily basis. आज लोन हो गया, कल रीपे हो गया, आज लोन वापस हो गया, किसी का पेमेंट आया वापस रीपे हो गया. सो द अमाउंट कीप्स ऑन फ्लक्चुएटिंग, सो दैट इज अ नॉन क्विक लायबिलिटी. सो दैट आल्सो यू रिमूव इट फ्रॉम हियर. एंड द लास्ट सिमिलर टू दिस, एक्सपेंस पेड इन एडवांस इज अ करंट एसेट, इनकम रिसीव्ड इन एडवांस इज अ करंट लायबिलिटी. व्हाई? मैंने पैसा ले लिया है, ऊपर क्या था, मैंने पैसा दे दिया, बेनिफिट मिलेगा, मैंने पैसा ले लिया है, बेनिफिट देना पड़ेगा, इट इज अ नॉन क्विक लायबिलिटी. गॉट इट? सो जस्ट कीप दिस इन माइंड. क्विक एसेट मींस करंट एसेट्स माइनस स्टॉक माइनस एक्सपेंसेस पेड इन एडवांस, एंड करंट लायबिलिटी मींस क्विक लायबिलिटी मींस करंट लायबिलिटी में से डिडक्ट बैंक ओडी एंड इनकम रिसीव्ड इन एडवांस. क्लियर? नाउ बिफोर वी टेक द थर्ड रेशियो, लेट्स कैलकुलेट क्विक रेशियो. सी, a company has the following current assets and current liabilities: stock, debtors, cash bank, creditors, bank OD. Calculate liquid ratio. Liquid ratio, as I told you, another name for quick ratio. Okay, now see, for this there are two ways. Just do what I am doing. I need current assets. तुम लोग को पता है current assets कैसे आता है, क्या क्या है current assets? Stock, debtors, cash and bank. बाकी दो करंट लायबिलिटी है. ओके, सो लेट मी शो इट इन ब्रैकेट्स. माय करंट एसेट्स 80, डेटर्स स्टॉक, डेटर्स 60, 140 एंड कैश है 70. ओके, 80, 60, 140, 140 and 30, 170. So my current assets आर 1,70,000. 170 कैसे आया? I'll show it in brackets for your understanding. 170, 80 plus 60 plus 30. 80 plus 60 plus 30. Okay, this is my current assets. Now to get quick assets क्या करना है? माइनस स्टॉक. कितना है मेरा स्टॉक? स्टॉक है मेरा 80,000. कैन यू सी एनी प्रीपेड एक्सपेंस? नहीं है तो जीरो. तो आई रिपीट, करंट एसेट्स 170, उसमें से स्टॉक माइनस करना 80, प्रीपेड एक्सपेंस और एक्सपेंस पेड इन एडवांस व्हिच इज नॉट देयर सो जीरो. अपॉन करंट लायबिलिटी, हमने करंट लायबिलिटीज 2 क्या है? क्रेडिटर्स 45, बैंक ओवरड्राफ्ट 30. सो 45 प्लस 30 कितना हो गया? ये 75,000. सो 75,000 इज माई टोटल करंट लायबिलिटी. उसमें से मुझे क्या माइनस करना है? बैंक ओडी विच इज 30,000 एंड इनकम रिसीव्ड इन एडवांस नहीं है. इनकम रिसीव्ड इन एडवांस नहीं है. सो दैट इज जीरो. नाउ लेट्स चेक. 170 माइनस 80, 90. 75 माइनस 30 हो गया 45. न्यूमरेटर 90, ये 45. 3 zeros gets cancel. 90 डिवाइड बाय 45 करोगे 2. 45 multiply by 2, 90. That means 2 and 1. So the ratio is 2:1. Therefore, my quick ratio is 2:1. Therefore, my quick ratio is 2:1. So current ratio 3:1 and quick ratio 2:1. Clear with this, guys? Got it? Now see what I told you. The motive of quick ratio is to judge the immediate financial position of the company. The motive of quick ratio is to judge the immediate financial position of the company. यहाँ का norm standard was 2:1, यहाँ का 1:1. So in practical life, if this is more than 1, it is considered good. So वहाँ का more than 2:1, यहाँ का more than 1:1. So in this case, both are good. I'm just explaining you from objective point of view because standard ratio दिया हुआ है. Okay, so quick ratio 2:1. All of you all clear with this? Got it? Now we take the third ratio. These were your two balance sheet ratios. Now I take third income. I'll just change the angle a little bit. Okay. Now I take the third ratio, that is a part of income statement ratio, and that is nothing but gross profit ratio. Third ratio is gross profit ratio. Now, you all know what is gross profit. It is a direct profit. Gross profit is direct profit, and gross profit you get from trading account. So now the question is, what is the ratio? Again I'll repeat, this is income statement ratios. ये दोनों balance sheet ratios थे. So now when I say gross profit ratio, it's very simple. One of the most easiest ratio. It is the ratio which shows the relationship of gross profit to sales. But when I say sales, it is net sales. तुम्हें पता है what is net sales? Net sales is nothing but sales minus returns. Net sales is nothing but sales minus returns. So gross profit ratio is the ratio which shows the relationship of gross profit to net sales, and the formula is gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit upon net sales into 100. It is gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit upon net sales into 100. Gross profit upon net sales into 100. Now see, sometimes they will give you gross profit and net sales directly, or sometimes you have to calculate. Okay, now let's see the third question. Calculate the gross profit ratio from the following data. Sales given 10,50,000, purchases given, opening stock, closing stock, sales return. That means gross profit ka figure is not there directly, net sales is not there directly. They can give you directly or you'll have to find out. Now see guys, I'll make it very simple for you all और ये तुम्हारा थोड़ा revision भी हो जाएगा. What we'll do, write this formula. After this formula, leave around 5-6 lines for calculation. Acha, one more thing. Why I am multiplying by 100? Because your income statement ratios जो तुम्हारे syllabus में है, income statement ratio, there are 3. Which are the 3? Will come one by one. ये पहला है. All the 3 have to be expressed in terms of percentage. All income statement ratios, we also call it as revenue statement ratios, which you calculate from your trading P&L, have to be expressed in terms of percentage, and because it has to be shown in terms of percentage or expressed in terms of percentage, we multiply by 100. Okay, so leave 5-6 lines for calculation and we will make working notes. Okay, we will make working notes. Now what two things we need? Gross profit and net sales. अभी देखो, let's take one by one. तुम्हें sales दिया है along with sales return. Now I can do it orally also, but let's make a working note. So what I'll do first, working note number 1, calculation of net sales. Calculation of net sales. Now क्या है net sales? याद है vertical form है. If returns are not there, sales ही तुम्हारा net sales हो गया, and if returns are there, gross minus sales return. So we'll just write the equation to make it simple. Net sales is equal to gross sales minus sales return. Net sales is equal to gross sales minus sales return. अभी देखो क्या है तुम्हारा gross sales? Gross sales is 10,50,000 minus the sales return, that is 50. So 10,50,000 minus 50 gives you 10 lakhs. Therefore, my net sales is 10 lakhs. So net sales is gross sales minus sales return. So 10 lakh 50 minus 10 lakh, minus 50, my net sales is 10 lakhs. So net sales is 10 lakh rupees. So net sales is equal to gross sales minus sales return. So 10 lakh 50,000 minus 50,000 gives you 10 lakhs. So see, I get the figure of net sales. Now gross profit कैसे मिलता है? In this sum it's not given directly. How we get gross profit? Remember income statement. Net sales minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit. Net sales minus cost of goods sold gives you gross profit. So net sales तो मिल गया. Now I need cost of goods sold. So now what I'll do, working note number 2, calculation of cost of goods sold. Calculation of cost of goods sold. I just hope the angle is proper. Yeah, calculation of cost of goods sold. Now you all know it is adjustment of all the items of the trading account. Let's make it simple. I'll write it in the form of equation. Cost of goods sold is equal to opening stock plus purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock. Okay. Cost of goods sold is equal to opening stock plus purchases plus direct expenses minus closing stock. Let's take one by one. Now see, direct expense क्या आता है? Direct expense means all expenses which come in trading account other than opening stock and purchase. That means wages, carriage inward, factory expense, सब कुछ आ गया. So instead of writing all the words, I've just mentioned direct expenses. While doing final accounts, you all know. Okay. Now see, let's take one by one. Opening stock. कितना है मेरा opening stock? 1 lakh. Opening stock is 1 lakh. Purchases 6 lakhs. Now direct expense normally they don't ask, ये सब में भी नहीं है. अगर होगा तो add, suppose they tell you wages, then you have to add wages, but ये सब में नहीं है. Minus closing stock. How much is closing stock? 80,000. So 6 lakhs plus 1 lakh, 7 lakhs. 7 lakh minus 80,000 is equal to 620. So my cost of goods sold is 6,20,000. 1 lakh opening stock, 6 lakh purchases and closing stock 80,000. So 7 lakh minus 80,000, 6,20,000 is my cost of goods sold. Okay, getting it? Net sales 10 lakh, cost of goods sold 620. Now see, gross profit is this minus this. I can show it in brackets also, but because we have made 2 working notes, let's make a small working note. I am repeating, ये working note नहीं बनाओगे तो भी चलेगा, but let's make it. Working note number 3. Calculation of gross profit. Calculation of gross profit. Gross profit is equal to, equation na, this is the formula, net sales minus cost of goods sold. Net sales is 10 lakh minus cost of goods sold 620. So 10 lakh minus 620, 380 is my gross profit. So my gross profit is 3,80,000. Gross profit is 3,80,000. Got it? So now formula में क्या चाहिए? Gross profit upon net sales into 100. Let's substitute where you have left space now. Gross profit 3,80,000. Net sales 10 lakh into 100. देखो 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros will go out. 100, 100. So your answer is 38, and because you have multiplied by 100, it will be 38%. So therefore, my gross profit ratio is 38%. इसका मतलब ये है, जितना भी तुम्हारा सेल्स है, whatever is your sales, उसका 38% is your expense. whatever is your sales, net sales उसका 38% is your gross profit, sorry not expense. I'll repeat, जो भी तुम्हारा sales है gross profit उसका 38% होगा. That is gross profit ratio. I'll brush up. Gross profit ratio is gross profit upon net sales into 100. They may give you gross profit or net sales directly और ऐसे calculate करना पड़ेगा. Gross sales and returns था तो we got net sales. COGS ढूंढना पड़ा because opening stock, purchase, closing stock दिया था. We got COGS and net sales minus COGS is gross profit 380. I could have avoided this working note. यहाँ पे मैं ब्रैकेट्स में दिखा सकता था 10 लाख minus 620, बट अभी ये दो बनाया तो मैंने तीसरा बना दिया. इन एग्जाम यू कैन अवॉइड दिस इफ यू वांट. इवन नेट सेल्स इधर ही लिखा 1050 minus 50, दैट इज ऑल्सो फाइन. अगर ये नहीं बनाओगे तो भी चलेगा, बट दिस यू हैव टू मेक इट फॉर योर बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. ये तो करना पड़ा. एज आई टोल्ड यू, समटाइम्स दे विल गिव यू स्ट्रेट अवे ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट एंड नेट सेल्स. यू हैव टू जस्ट कंप्यूट द फॉर्मूला एंड गेट दैट. Got it, guys? So total 6 ratios. First two are balance sheet, third income. Next two are also income, along with the last one, which is a combined ratio. Now the board is full, so I'll just be back and we will do the remaining 3 ratios. Okay, I'll just be back, guys. Okay, guys, I take the fourth ratio, that is net profit ratio. Now after calculating the gross profit ratio, you will find simple and you can make out a formula only. Gross profit ratio showed us the proportion of gross profit with respect to net sales. Net profit ratio will show the same proportion, but it will be net profit to net sales. Gross profit का formula क्या था? Gross profit upon net sales into 100. Net profit ratio will be, I'll write a formula. Net profit ratio is equal to net profit upon net sales into 100. Net profit ratio is equal to net profit upon net sales into 100. I'll repeat. Gross profit ratio is gross profit upon net sales into 100, and net profit ratio is equal to net profit upon net sales into 100. Clear with this? Chalo. Now, what we are supposed to do here? We will calculate the net profit and the net sales. But let's see the question first. Okay? Now see, अच्छा, before that I forgot one thing. Current ratio and quick ratio में we calculated the ratios, and what I told you, both were for short term financial position and immediate financial position. Gross profit, net profit shows the profitability. Now यहाँ पे कोई standard नहीं है. Because it is profitability, higher the ratio, better it is. यहाँ पे कोई भी स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है. Higher the ratio, the better it is. Okay. Now let's take the fourth one, net profit ratio. Calculate the net profit ratio from the following details. Net sales, cost of goods sold, indirect expenses. Okay. Again I'll repeat. Gross profit, net profit, both are profitability ratio. इसमें कोई भी स्टैंडर्ड नहीं होता है. जितना ज्यादा उतना बेटर. Now see, what is the formula? Net profit upon net sales. Net sales तो तुमको दिया हुआ है 10 lakhs. Okay. So I already have the denominator, that is 10 lakhs. मुझे चाहिए क्या? मुझे चाहिए net profit. मुझे चाहिए net profit. Now see, cost of goods sold है. I can get gross profit. Now when I say indirect expense, you all know very well. Direct expenses goes in trading account. Direct expenses goes in trading account. Indirect expense goes in P&L. So net profit is the profit which you get after deducting indirect expenses from your gross profit. So what we'll do, leave 4-5 lines. I'll make a working note. Calculation of net profit. Calculation of net profit. Sometimes net profit will be given directly. Sometimes we will calculate. Sometimes net profit will be given directly. Sometimes we have to calculate. Okay. Now see how you will calculate. Net sales at 10 lakh. So net sales 10 lakh. Cost of goods sold दिया है. We did in the previous sum. Net sales. Sorry. This is 5 lakh. Sorry. I took the previous sum. Sorry. Net sales is 5 lakh. Sorry. Net sales 5 lakhs. कितना है मेरा cost of goods sold? 4 lakh. So now what will happen? From my net sales, I deduct cost of goods sold. From my net sales, I deduct cost of goods sold, that is 4 lakh. So 5 lakh minus 4 lakh, I get gross profit 1 lakh. 5 lakh minus 4 lakh, I get gross profit 1 lakh. बट मुझे ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट नहीं चाहिए, मुझे चाहिए नेट प्रॉफिट. सो व्हाट आई डू, फ्रॉम दिस ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट आई विल डिडक्ट इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंस. सो डिडक्ट इनडायरेक्ट एक्सपेंसेस. कितना दिया है? 50,000. सो 1 lakh minus 50,000 gives you 50,000. That's your net profit. So my net profit is 50,000. Got it? I'll repeat. We did previous sum gross profit. Indirect expenses are those expenses which are debited to P&L. So gross profit में से indirect expense को minus करो, gives you net profit. Now go back. Net profit 50,000. 50,000 into 5 lakh upon 100. If you calculate, you will get 10. And because you have multiplied by 100, you will express it in terms of percentage. Therefore, my net profit ratio is 10%. Therefore, my net profit ratio is 10%. So I'll repeat. Net profit ratio shows the proportion of net profit is to net sales. Gross profit ratio shows the proportion of gross profit to net sales. Both we multiplied by 100. करंट और क्विक रेशियो में जैसे स्टैंडर्ड था, यहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड नहीं होता है. प्रॉफिट है, हायर द रेशियो better it is. Got it? So this was your fourth ratio, net profit ratio. I'll just be back with the next two. Okay guys, now I take the next ratio. Sorry, I had some urgent work. So the next is again a ratio of income statement, but gross profit and net profit were income ratios. The next one, which is operating ratio, is an expense ratio. I'll repeat. Gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, operating ratio. These three are income statement ratios, but gross profit and net profit was related to income, profit hai. Here it is an expense. Now the question is, what is operating ratio? Operating ratio is nothing but it shows the proportion of operating cost. It shows the proportion of operating cost, same denominator, to net sales. I'll make it simple for you all how I did quick ratio. The formula is operating ratio is equal to operating cost upon net sales into 100. Operating ratio is equal to operating cost upon net sales into 100. Operating ratio is equal to operating cost upon net sales into 100. Now, what do you mean by operating cost? Income statement, you all have done the operating expense. Don't be under that impression that operating expense and operating cost is same. No. Operating cost is the total cost. Understand the words I am speaking. Operating cost is the total costs incurred from your day-to-day business operations. And I'll split it further. I'll show you breakup of operating cost. Operating cost is nothing but cost of goods sold plus operating expenses, entire thing upon net sales into 100. Okay, so I'll repeat. Operating cost is cost of goods sold plus operating expense, and operating ratio is cost of goods sold plus operating expense upon net sales into 100. ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस क्या है? इनकम स्टेटमेंट में एडमिन सेलिंग फाइनेंस. द टोटल ऑफ एडमिन सेलिंग एंड फाइनेंस इज योर ऑपरेटिंग एक्सपेंस. ओके, लेट्स सी द क्वेश्चन नंबर 5. Calculate operating ratio from the following information. Cost of goods sold given, operating expense given. Now suppose they don't give you total operating expense, then they will give you admin, selling, finance. Then in that case, the total of admin, selling and finance will be your operating expense. Net sale is given. So I just have to substitute. So my numerator will be cost of goods sold, that is 6 lakhs. Cost of goods sold, that is 6 lakhs. Operating expenses, that is 1 lakh, upon net sales, that is 10 lakh into 100. So 6 lakhs plus 1 lakh, 7 lakh divided by 10 lakh into 100. 7 lakh divided by 10 lakh into 100, that gives you 70%. All revenue or income statement ratios you have to multiply by 70, multiply by 100. In this case, the answer is 70. Therefore, your operating ratio is 70%. Therefore, your operating ratio is 70%. So I'll repeat, operating ratio is the ratio which shows the proportion of operating cost to net sales, and operating cost is nothing but cost of goods sold plus operating expense. यहाँ पे they have given you directly, mostly in your syllabus they will give you directly only. If not, you all know how to calculate cost of goods sold, we did in the earlier formula, and operating expense is nothing but the total of admin, selling and finance. Got it, guys? Now we take the last ratio, number 6, which is the only combined ratio you have in your syllabus, and that is return on capital employed, which we also call it as return on investment. Now see guys, in your syllabus ना they have given you both of them separately. दोनों में एक माइनर फर्क है, बट वो SYJC के लेवल में नहीं है. Therefore I am taking, because whatever समझाते हैं ना, they have shown straight away calculation of मतलब same ratio they have done. Return on investment and capital employed, they have kept similar questions only. Minor difference है, but I am not getting into that. Unnecessary confusion होएगा. So just do whatever I am telling you. That's more than enough. Okay. So the ratio is return on capital employed, which we also call it as return on investment. Now see, sixth ratio, the only combined ratio. पहले दो बैलेंस शीट के थे, third, fourth, fifth income statement, and this is combined. A very, very important ratio in practical life also. Return on capital employed. Now, what is capital employed? You all know, you all have done balance sheet. Sources of funds, application of funds. Sources, owners funds plus borrowed funds. Application, fixed assets, long-term investments and working capital. So your capital employed is the total of that. And when I say capital employed, another logic for using the word capital employed is that is the amount invested in business. Another logic for using the word capital employed is amount invested in the business. So capital employed is nothing but amount which is invested in business. And when I say return on capital employed means whatever investment is there in the business, how much is the income what I earn in terms of percentage. Suppose मेरा capital employed 10 लाख है, मैंने 1 लाख earn किया, that means my return is 10%. So return on capital employed means how much is the net profit which you are earning on the amount invested in business. Capital employed means amount invested in business. So now the formula is return on capital employed is equal to net profit before interest and tax upon capital employed into 100. Net profit before interest and tax upon capital employed into 100. Now listen, when I say tax means income tax, याद है income statement में किया था, we also did in common size. Net profit before tax में से tax minus करो. So we have to take before tax का amount, and interest means interest paid on long term loans. Now in your syllabus they will give you straight away either net profit before interest and tax, or they will give you net profit, वही तुमको consider करना है. There is a calculation for this, but that is not prescribed in SYJC syllabus. It will come in degree college. So return on capital employed is net profit before interest and tax upon capital employed into 100. Got it? Tax means before income tax and interest means before interest on borrowed funds. But as I told you, that is not prescribed in your syllabus. They will straight away give you. Okay. Now here also I have kept it very simple. मैंने straight away net profit before interest and tax दिया है. देखो कितना है? 5 lakhs and your capital employed is 15 lakhs. So 5 lakh is my net profit upon my capital employed 15 lakhs. 5 threes are 15. You see, this is 30%. Therefore, return on capital employed is equal to 30%. Return on capital employed is equal to 30%. Return on capital employed 30%. That means what? जो भी मेरा पैसा बिजनेस में इन्वेस्टेड है, कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड, यू कॉल इट एज ओनर्स फंड्स प्लस बोरोड फंड्स और योर एप्लीकेशन ऑफ फंड्स. 15 लाख मेरा पैसा बिजनेस में लगा हुआ है, आई एम अर्निंग 5 lakhs ऑन दैट. दैट मीन्स द रिटर्न इज 30%. कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है, हायर द बेटर. ये एक्सपेंस था, लोअर द बेटर. गेटिंग इट? सो out of the 6 ratios, first two में there was a standard of 2:1, 1:1. बाकी में कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है. ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, नेट प्रॉफिट, रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड और इन्वेस्टमेंट रिटर्न, हायर बेटर, ऑपरेटिंग लोअर बेटर. बट समटाइम्स यू हैव टू इंकर. देखो अगर बिजनेस में ग्रो करना है तो एक्सपेंस भी इंकर करना पड़ेगा. तुमको ज्यादा सेल करना है, स्टॉक तो होना चाहिए ना, तो स्टॉक के लिए तुमको परचेज भी करना पड़ेगा. तो तुम्हारा परचेज ऊपर जाएगा तो कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड सोल्ड भी ऊपर जाएगा. सो इन प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ यू हैव टू कंसिडर ऑल द फैक्टर्स before you judge the financial position. So this was the last one, return on capital employed, the profit earned on the money invested in business. So guys, this was the last part of your chapter analysis of financial statement, where we considered all the parts. Initially I made you do vertical format, balance sheet and income statement to get the concept clear. Then we did comparative, then we did common size, then in the previous class cash flow, and then now ratios. So this was a good session to give you the brief of all the ratios what you have in your syllabus, and the sum what I have done, although this was a basic type of a session, but I have covered the level of boards. So see to it, you do this perfectly, do this, and when you solve all the sums, you'll find it very, very simple. So I have made this full chapter very simple for you all by giving base in detail for each of them what you have in your syllabus, plus by recording one video on each of the sum which is open on YouTube. So please do watch it carefully and get your concepts clear. नहीं समझ में आया, रिवाइंड फॉरवर्ड करके देखो, जितनी बार देखना है, यूट्यूब पे ओपन है. And even those who are watching on the app, I've kept more views. And उसके बाद also if you do not get it, please connect with me. That's it guys. I wind up here. See you all in the next class. And by this, I've covered the base of the last part of this chapter, that was ratio analysis. In the next couple of sessions, 2-3 sessions, maybe 3-4, we will cover sums in more detail. Okay, that's it guys. Please do revise and take care.